the City of Saugatuck's Parks and Public Works Committee meeting for April 25th, 2023. Deputy Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Baldwin,
Here.
Chair,
Here.
Dion,
Here.
Johnson,
Here.
Kimball,
Here.
Roach.
Roach is excused.
Oh.
Next up is the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second. Voice vote?
Sure.
All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? That's okay. I'm happy to call it. Motion carries. At this time, we'll open up the floor to public comments on agenda items. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, approval of minutes. Yes, yes, yes. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from 3/8/23?
I just wanted to, did you catch that you said the motion was to approve the minutes from the March 28th meeting on March 28th, and I think what you meant was February 28th. March, this was,
Well, we're in April, so it's always approved the last.
right, but the minutes are from the prior meeting, the March meeting. So we would have been approving the February minutes in March. Couldn't approve the March minutes, but we hadn't had the meeting yet. Right. Right. Correct. Okay, so I think that just needs to be February instead of March.
Yes, sorry.
Okay, yep. So we can amend that and approve. So upon change to the minutes, we can approve.
We're at 425, so they're the meeting minutes from 328.
No, that's today,
Right.
but she's approved, the minutes from last time should have said that we approved the minutes from the prior.
Right.
Oh, you're talking the last packet? No.
So here's the concern.
Oh, I've only got my thing
Minutes.
here, so I don't have a
Yes.
packet.
All right, so this is,
Right.
so here's the minute, look at the page, these are the minutes from last
Right.
meeting, right?
Okay.
March
I
minutes.
move the approve.
So we-
Yeah,
all of
you
them.
are correct.
We-
I did notice.
There we go.
Yes.
Okay.
that's-
Okay, so upon the change to approval of minutes from 2/28/23, can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
Approve motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Is it a voice vote or roll call?
No, it's roll.
Roll.
Or voice, I'm sorry.
Can we get a voice vote?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes,
Opposed?
I second, Glenn can, whatever. doesn't
I'm
matter.
sorry, I should have
One of-
called that
someone
out.
will second it.
Shirley,
And then
yeah.
I'm
Okay, all right, that being done, next up is public comments on today's agenda topics only. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes and state your name and address if you would like to comment. Anyone online? Okay, we will close the first public comment session. On for review and discussion. Can we have Cody here to give us an update on DPW? Oh, we're Scott. Yes, of course. I don't know, maybe it's the front row. I was just saying. Yes. Please.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
We have, it's springtime, it's go time. We did have snow falling this morning. So winter keeps holding on just a little bit longer, but that's not gonna stop us from moving forward, getting town ready for the summer season. So we've got a lot going on at Public Works. I'll just kind of rapid fire through some of them. But before I do that, I just thought since we have a little bit of rain today, this is a good opportunity for me to snag some of the Public Works staff off the streets and on the field and introduce them to you. So here are 3 of the 5 full-time employees. We have one guy out sick, and then we have Mike. I'll start with him. Mike's not here. Mike went. He's been working for the city for 6 years now, and he's had a side business called Wentz Fence, and he decided that he was going to continue to grow his business and part ways with the city. So huge loss for the city. Not a lot of people know the level of service that he's been able to provide to us. I'll give you one example. In the wintertime, some work that's very critical in the public eye is our sidewalk maintenance, for snow and ice. Mike not single-handedly, but Mike operated the skid steer snow blower to remove the snow and ice on the sidewalk. So that's something that directly impacts residents and business owners. And he did a terrific job for us. And so this coming winter, we're going to have someone new to that role. There's going to be a learning curve. There's going to be training. There are certainly going to be complaints and mistakes made. So please help and have patience for that individual who's going to be stepping in for Mike on that role. But I just want to publicly say once again, thank you to Mike Wendt for all of his years of service. It's been an absolute pleasure working with him. But so moving on from Mike, we have Ellis Mack right here. He's an equipment operator / maintenance worker / Oval Beach manager. We try to peg as many titles onto people as we possibly can with a small staff like this. So he's transitioning and going out to the Oval Beach right now. We've got one of our top priorities for the Oval is to get the Oval Beach, the water turned on now that we're consistently above freezing, and we are having a little bit of an electrical issue with the well that we have out there. It's the only well that we have on city properties. Everything else is city municipal water. So we're gonna have to have Coop's well drilling come out and maybe install a new pump for our well before we can get that whole operation up and running. But in the meantime, we do have a couple of porta potties out there for people that are using the beach to go out there and use. So, but yeah, so Ellis will be kind of really, he's going to be taking care of a huge operation for us. But a point that I'd like to make is that also kind of takes away one person of our team at the garage to do things like respond to resident requests and service orders. So then we have Chad Bauman. He's an equipment operator, maintenance worker, but I kind of treat him as a parks director for us because he's out there. He's got a great eye for detail in our parks with landscaping and mowing and irrigation, you name it. He's the parks guy for sure. And then you all know Cody, just Cody, assistant supervisor. So yeah, just want to get some faces in front of you all,
Scott, how many people do you hire for Oval Beach during the summer? How do you ramp
We're
up?
what,
with that?
24, 25?
Well,
My God.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, you think about it, we've got to be open from about 8 a.m. until, 10 p.m.
Yeah.
When 9 to 8, but that's when the beach opens, right? So we got to have staff there an hour beforehand to, get the restrooms and stuff cleaned up. But yeah, so to staff the ticket booth, concession stand, and then the beach patrol, that's the amount of staff that we have. And so it's important for us to get the personnel, especially the beach patrollers, get them working. Make sure that they're CPR and AED trained and certified. And then also we're going to start incorporating some mock safety drills with the Saugatuck Township Fire District. They've put together about, I think, 5 mock scenarios for us to just actually hands-on in the field. Okay, if there's a missing child, boom, what do we do? There's a near drowning incident, boom, let's act those out so that everyone knows exactly how to handle that scenario. It's a great job. It's a wonderful summer job. It's, it's sunny and, it's wonderful, but when it's serious, it happens quick and we need to be prepared for that. So it's a big undertaking and Ellis is going to help us through with that. Yes.
Most of us know how difficult it is to find seasonal help. How did your recruitment process go this year?
It was very robust. I think a big thank you to Sarah Williams, who helped us out tremendously this year. So thank you. We've got on top of the 25 or so folks that we have at Oval Beach, we also try to staff 4 seasonal personnel members at the garage, which we have that filled. So all with returning employees from last year at the garage.
Oh, that's
So
really
we're
good
happy
news.
with that.
Whatever your secret is, don't tell any other community.
Yeah, so yeah, great job on that. Thank you, Sarah. And thanks for mentioning that, Ryan. Okay, so got to know some faces. We'll kind of give you a little bit of an idea of what in the world we've been up to lately. So what was it? 2 weeks ago, we had worked with the Kalamazoo Lake Sewer and Water Authority to get all the water meters installed and water turned on around the city. So that means we can turn irrigation on, start going through our sprinkler systems. People kick them, they get ran over. So it's quite an undertaking for us to make sure that everything's adjusted properly. And then also that allowed us to get the Wicks Park restrooms and Mount Baldhead restrooms open back up for the season too. So that's really nice for folks. I talked to you about staffing already, seasonal staffing. We're going into the season very strong this year. We did remove the erosion control fencing at the Oval Beach. That's another thing that residents really like to see, that ugly, unsightly erosion control fencing. So we got that out of the way. That allows us to start cleaning off the parking lot, depositing that sand. As long as it's clean of dune grass, we can deposit that sand back onto the main part of the beach and before we bring a bulldozer in and have it leveled off. And when we do have the bulldozer come in, we usually try to have them bring the track dozer up the backside of Mount Baldhead and cover up the exposed electrical conduit that's on the top of that dune. That's an annual thing, but between the erosion on the east side of the dune, foot traffic, and just the nature of being a living dune, it's a never ending battle.
You take a machine up there?
I don't. I'll take the quad up there, but yeah, I guess Bruce Simonson,
Yeah.
my predecessor, they used to take our front end loader up there in the winter time, but I heard a story one time, the loader operator, Blair Van Oss, he started going down the dune sideways in the loader, which is tall anyway. You have to climb up a ladder to get into it. So on top of that, we're not doing it.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it. I got kids. I'm not doing this. So, but yeah, so having a piece of equipment with like a track loader, they walk right up it. It's not a big deal. But the only thing that's a bummer that just doesn't last, between the wind on top of that dune and the foot traffic, it's
Sitting thing.
yeah.
Yep.
So it's nice. It's gonna be nice when we start working with AT&T and we start getting construction underway for the restroom project that you've heard about. It'll be really nice to get that conduit deeper and underground. So
Yep.
So yeah, that's a little bit of an overview with Oval Beach. Streets, we've got a pretty ambitious plan for mill and overlay work. Our city engineer, John Moxie, and I, we went around and marked all the limits that we're going to be recommending to city council for mill and overlay work, milling down the rough surface of the road and then overlaying it with nice rolled out compacted new asphalt. So we'll see how far our dollars can get us with that and what gets approved and whatnot, but we want to put a lot in front of council because there's some roads that need it. Speaking of roads, we did do a demo with a Falcon 4-ton asphalt hot box. The demo went really well. We were able to keep it and use it for, I think we use it for 12 tons of asphalt. So that's 3 different loads. There's a huge fundamental difference between using a piece of equipment like that, which I believe at this point, we're going to be making a formal recommendation to city council once we get some comps to that product. But we're going to be pushing pretty hard to obtain a piece of equipment like this because I'll give you a 1-minute overview. I'm sorry, this is a lengthy one, but how we've done it before is the asphalt plant, there's one over in Plainwell. So we would typically drive a dump truck, an open bed dump truck to Plainwell. They dump the hot material, 300-degree material into the back of the dump truck. And then we fly back to Saugatuck and try to use it as fast as possible before it cools down too quickly for us to use. So it's not ideal, to get good adhesion to the road surface. We really want that asphalt to maintain like a 240 to 280 degree Fahrenheit temperature. And that's going to just create more semi-permanent and permanent asphalt patching. So we're not just seeing it fall right back out of the hole. So
Where do you get the asphalt if it's not hot to go into the machine?
what do we do with it?
No, where do you get it? I mean,
Oh, like cold patch?
well, you put cold patch into the hot patch machine, right? No?
We can't. So yeah, there's
Where do you get the product to put into the hot machine?
yeah. So there's 2 very different products. There's cold patch, which anyone would in our industry would try not to use. It's very, very temporary. That's more like in the winter time when the asphalt plants are closed, we would put cold patch, in a pothole as a temporary, very temporary solution until the asphalt plants open back up and we get hot patch. So like cold patch will only last. I mean, we've put it in potholes before, and then the next time it snows, it gets scraped
The
away.
question is about the hot patch though.
Yeah.
I mean, where do you get the product to put into the machine so that you can use the hot patch machine?
Wyoming asphalt plant.
So you still have to go out and fill it up and come back.
Yes. We're not going to get away from that.
But is it hot when you get it or?
Yeah.
So the machine doesn't make it hot.
No, the machine will maintain its heat.
Okay.
Yep.
Understand totally.
Yep. And it's pretty cool. One, it eliminates like employee fatigue. So if you can imagine, like the bed of the dump trucks is like this tall. And so if you can imagine like holding a shovel up and then scraping out asphalt, you do that all day long, or even for 2 days straight, there's more strain on employees, backs and whatnot. But you know, with the Falcon hot box, it's all kind of at waist level, and the little chute that it comes out of is also heated, so it stays that temperature until it goes into the hole the entire time. So, and I think we just got back the specs. We put our own specs and kind of customizations on it, and we just got the number back, and it was right around the $33,000 mark. So to me, it's an absolute no-brainer of a purchase and a fairly minimal cost compared to how big of an impact it can make for residents.
Is it a permanent fix, at least for the season then, isn't?
We would call it a semi-permanent fix, so I would say probably like a 1 to 3+ year fix.
Okay.
Where like a cold patch product, that's probably, it depends on what, you know, if it snows again, we're ripping it right out of the hole again.
I'd
So-
like to say also, if I may, that I had the privilege of going on a little field trip with these guys and watch the machine work. And one of the things that I want to make sure that gets before council on that is that it also works to save us money. And there's areas where there's a job that might be too big for our guys to do, say if Cal Lake rips out a sewer situation and that we have to replace it. Right now, we're having to contract that out because we don't have the machinery to take care of a big job like that. This would overcome some of those costs. So there's more to it than just,
Yeah.
you know, saving the backs, which is
Yeah.
also a worthy thing that we want to make sure that we do a good job with that. But it's a better product. It fixes the streets better. They can do bigger jobs and they can avoid us having to hire outside contractors in many instances. So I think that
I
it's
mean, I'm
important.
sure council's gonna say yes, but would you like a recommendation from us?
I don't know if we're going to need a recommendation. Are we just going to take it?
I looked at
directly
the,
to
I looked at the
council?
language of the committee and it doesn't, I don't think so. I think that would be more directly me, working with the manager, directly with council on a purchase, but I do, I at the very least want you guys to know what's going on.
After
with,
seeing it, I would absolutely advocate
hopefully your
for it and
support.
happy to work with. Yeah.
But
absolutely.
yeah, but to Helen's point, you know, that if we bought just, I kind of have a bigger picture in mind for this, but you know, if we could just kind of start off with baby steps, like just getting the asphalt hot box this year and invest in that. What we'd like to do, we started doing things to free up our time. I think we've talked about this numerous times, trying to free up or get, you know, shed some of our routine maintenance responsibilities. So I have it in my mind, at least, where if we're contracting out painting all the streets, that's a job that we're no longer doing at Public Works. That's going to free up our time to where we could spend more time tearing into like bigger asphalt projects, which is such a huge impact out there for everybody. So if we could start off by getting,
Full responsibility that way. Those are more expensive jobs than street painting and it makes more sense for our guys to be, in my view.
Absolutely.
Dedicated to a project like that than putting slapping paint down on parking spots for sure.
yeah, definitely. Thanks, Helen. So yeah, if we could start off with the hot box, then what we can do in the future, if that's going well, then we can start doing things like getting like a milling planer attachment for our skid steer, which allows you to mill like a 14-inch wide strip of asphalt. Then we can use we have a plate compactor. Then we could do, so you would mill it, fill it with asphalt, rake it about as level as you could, and then compact it. And that's a way better patch than just loosely throwing the material into the hole. So I think if we could start working towards that capability, once we had the hot box, it's only, you know, $12,500 for the planer, and then possibly look into purchasing like a mini roller, like an asphalt roller. Man, we could do a lot of work out there. I know it. There's a lot of worthy roads.
People understand, and I didn't fully understand this,
Oh, yeah.
that we are fully responsible for all the streets in the city of Saugatuck. The
And on the
county's
other
not the
side,
state.
too.
Yes, the county's not the state. Like, that is our responsibility. The idea that these guys are walking around with cold patch or like hoping to race here in time to keep something at 300 degrees in an open dump truck doesn't really seem very efficient or like a good
Seems
waste of
silly.
city
Yeah.
resources. So I
Yeah.
think that like, we're gonna work hard to do whatever we can to get this pushed through.
Oh,
Nice.
we're here for that. Yeah, and to Helen's point too, once we had that full capability with the, you know, the asphalt hot box, the planer, and then the roller, then if, you know, we could maybe departmentalize a little bit and work together a little bit more. So like if Cal Lake has a water main break and they have to tear into the road, you know, and they get done repairing the water main, they backfill the hole with gravel and compact it, then we can help them and come in and put the final seal on the road with asphalt. And maybe in exchange, we have, you'll see all the orange cones out around town right now. Right now, we're contracting out, cleaning out all of our catch basins. Cal Lake has a Vector truck. Maybe there could be a mutual benefit there to where we don't contract out our catch basin cleanings. Cal Lake can do that for us. We can take care of patching for them. It just seems to make sense.
What did you say? All three of those, a combined total, like for instance, if you went for the combined thing, all three, what's the cost of that?
I wish I knew the cost of the roller, but
We don't have the roller.
yes, but
The
the
planer's about 12,000, you said?
12,500, yep. And then the hot box is around 33,000. Yep. And if I had to guesstimate like what the cost of a roller would be, I'd say
Because it's a little one. I mean,
it's a little one, probably 30,
Yeah.
40,000, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, but you know, so I don't know if you're all familiar with how often you travel down Tackin Street up on top of the hill, but it's going to get rebuilt. That we had a last year, I think it was last spring, a truck turned on to the road and like shredded the street open. And so there's like a failed road under drain from a saturated road base. And so we, as a temporary solution, we had A1 Asphalt come in and do roughly a 10-foot by 8-foot asphalt patch. And just a patch like that's about $1,200.
Yeah.
So, you know, to Helen's point, as far as, you know, the economics of it, it ought to pay for itself fairly quickly. So anyway, so that's the vision for that. A lot of ambition up there, but
Makes sense.
like the support. So yeah, we also installed the speed radar signs. That was, I think we did what, 2 on Park Street. We got the one on Lake Street, Allegan Street, and Holland Street.
Yep.
Yeah, catch basins are getting cleaned out. And then for this week, we're getting our mulch delivery. So Chad and the crew have got all the flower beds detailed out. And so we're gonna start mulching everything this week, which is really nice to see. And then also Chad pressure washed the Willow Park deck, which looks really amazing. It turned out, Sarah, do
That photo.
you have
That
a
was
couple pictures of
beautiful.
that?
Yeah.
Did a really nice
That's a
job.
little park that just always seems to get pushed down. So that's nice to see that.
This is not Photoshop. I had to ask him relentless, like, you didn't edit this photo, right? So that's what it looked like before. And then this is after Chad rolled up his sleeves.
Nice done.
Huge difference.
It's beautiful, yeah.
Yeah, so nice job, Chad. Thank you.
So proud.
I'll stop blabbing on, but one more reminder, it is Arbor Day this Friday. And so we're getting into the point of the year where we start doing our annual tree plantings. And so just want to make sure everyone here is invited Friday at 10 a.m. at 201 Butler Street, which is the drugstore. On the soda fountain side of it, on the Mason Street side, we're going to be planting a tree right there. So we usually have a little ceremony and take a picture. Sometimes it gets into the paper and just kind of cool. So hope you guys can make it.
One tree, I like that.
That's all we're doing.
You'll get your tree and you'll like it.
So I'm open to any questions if anyone has any for me.
That's not
All right.
the only tree you plant.
No, no.
So in our next meeting,
Ceremonial tree,
Yes.
city,
Blue
tree.
spruce.
in our next meeting, I'll give a full update on the amount of trees that we planted.
Yeah, that would be nice to know.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Seth.
And team.
And team, welcome.
Team Scott.
No, yeah, nice job.
Okay, so we'll move on to our study group updates, starting with the airport property. I think I called everybody individually because I was so delighted at the April 10th meeting for city council that we were able to get the proposals for the environmental site assessments passed. Very excited for that, so we can get ODC and F&V out there to do their work. It's necessary, and I want to reiterate that I mean, I see misinformation reported a lot and, you know, the commercial record and that, but this is something we have to do no matter what we do with the property, okay? We need to know what's out there environmental. We need to understand what's going on with the site, wetlands, whatever, what invasive species we have, what, endangered species, whatever it is. This is something very base needs to happen, and I'm very happy to report that that got passed.
Have those been executed?
We've got a schedule on there. So ODC is getting out, I think, in June,
Mhm.
and F&B is going out in, I don't know, it's in the contract as far as when the dates are going to be done. So to your point, I think everything wraps up as far as the site assessments and that by the end of summer. Yep.
Great.
Blue Star, you want to take?
Oh,
I'm
just-
sorry.
One item of note is that airport property, there was one environmental assessment, and then we have the outdoor discovery
Mhm.
center, which we call an ecological and sustainability study. So there's two things going on at the airport property. Police and Vanderbrink's doing the environmental assessment. ODC is doing the larger study.
Site survey.
Site
Yeah.
survey essentially, yeah. But then we also had the landfill site.
Oh, yes, I'm
approved for
sorry.
our
Yes.
Assessment.
That's
so,
important.
which is
Yes,
Separate from.
correct. Thank you.
The airport property. So all in like 13K about being spent on those properties to understand them better. So.
Brian, can you just explain the environmental versus what ODC is doing? I mean, I
Ye-
would think they're
yes.
environmental, so I'm obviously.
Yeah, certainly. So Police and Vanderbrink will be doing a phase one environmental assessment, which is a historical review of the uses of the property, any documentation they can find on the property. We also included a soil sample, some soil studies,
Okay.
because we were aware that it used to be used as a gun range in certain portions, so we wanted to see if there's lead on the site. So the environmental assessment is more of a historical review of the uses of the property.
Okay.
Outdoor Discovery Center is doing more of a survey of the plant life
Okay,
that exists and, will determine what's good, what's not so good. And also we put in some language to have them clearly identify the existing walking paths that exist. So we included that in their proposals. That's their focus.
okay, thanks.
The Blue Star multimodal path, what I'd like to start with is that also we were successful in last night getting phase two passed at the council meeting for construction slated for the Blue Star Trail. And Nancy, did you want to talk more about where we're at with it with the?
Sure.
Okay.
So yeah, so the next step to make progress on the trail was to get this contract finalized with C2AE, who's the engineering firm. And they're the same firm that did the initial work on it that enabled us to get the grants. So in order to actually now move forward, we needed to do the design work, detailed design work. And that has to be signed by not only our city council or approved by our city council, but also the township. So last night was the first step. Council approved that contract. So that's a big step. And they also approved the intergovernmental agreement, which
Yes,
says how
thank
it will
you.
be paid.
Yes.
And that's basically, remember the Friends of the Blue Star Trailer picking up 77% of the local match. And then the city and the township are picking up the others. And I don't remember the exact split. City's doing more than the township. But anyway, so that's a formal
Nice.
agreement as well, which was also approved.
And I want to say that it's important, like, I know that sometimes we can get a little discouraged, like government work seems slow or whatever, but things like what we're doing here really matter. These things aren't, I mean, it seems really obvious to us that certain things should be passed and all that. Blue Star was not unanimous. The airport property environmental site assessment was not unanimous. We have dissent on people that don't want to see things move forward. And it's important that as our group, that we are advocates for our environment and for our parks. And that's the necessary thing. So our work here is good and it really matters. And I want to make sure people are aware.
I don't think that it's not that it doesn't matter to those people. I think that they think money should be spent elsewhere. Of
course, yeah.
That's what I mean. That's what I think. Because I think I think
It's
they
differing
think-
of you. It's
yeah,
different views.
It's a
but
different use.
The
yeah.
point is, it's not always
No.
unanimous. It is rarely
Right.
unanimous. And so it's important to make sure that I want you guys to be aware that our work is important.
Yep.
So the next step then is for Saugatuck Township's board to approve, and their meeting is May 12th. And we have every indication and hope that they will approve that.
Mm.
So then we'll actually be able to get that work started. And then the real fun will begin when we try to figure out, all the detail. Design, how we're
One
gonna
thing at a
set
time.
the signs.
The sign's huge.
It is.
That whole area is huge.
Yeah.
It's such a
I
mess.
think that's.
Okay. Oh, also Councilmember Lewis will also be on the
That's
committee.
right.
Yep. Anything else you'd like to add, Mr. Manager?
No, I think you hit it. Yep, Garnett and Holly Leo will remain as
Holly
the
Leo.
council liaisons. It'll be both Garnett Lewis and Holly Leo. And yeah, so I mean, from here, we get into detailed design, which will allow us to create the bid specifications. After that's complete, then we go out to bid. And then we let a contract, and then we have a construction management phase, which was also included in the approval the council passed. That's in the C2AE contract as well. That's construction management. But I do have to return to council to get additional approval to move on to that next step, which is fine. And then the channel should be built in the year 2025, which seems far out there, but it's not.
Again, government work, but I get it. When you look back how soon 2 years ago was, you
Yep.
feel like it was yesterday. It'll be the same when we're in 2025.
And I'll just say one more thing. So, the goal of the Friends is to build the trail all the way to South Haven.
Hmm.
And so we've realized that now that we've actually made this much progress, on this section, we've got a long way to go to get all the way to South Haven. So, one of our members is really starting to lead the charge, and that does not affect the city. So that won't be part of this group, but we're actually going to start on the next leg now, knowing that, we want to be alive when it's all.
It's nice.
It's exciting. I think
It's exciting.
I mean, I don't know if any of you biked the Calhaven Trail, like, that's beautiful and it
ago.
makes you wonder like how long it
Calhaven
took to
is-
put together and it's amazing and
Yeah.
yeah, it's something else. Okay, Ruth, you want to go with Park Street?
Yeah, so we had our meeting, a monthly meeting on Friday. And I just want to tell you, this is a pretty dynamic group that I'm working with, which they have a lot of love for that area across the river. And we've got some good long-term goals and some good short-term goals. The long-term goals will come with presentation. Won't be quite as dynamic as yours, Glenna. But nonetheless, we have ideas we'd like to submit, but this, we have some short-term ones. We know we're coming in the 23 season, so we want to get some things done over there to make it safer for people that utilize the chain ferry and Park Street as not so much the vehicles, but the walkers and the pedestrians and the bikers and stuff. So what we'd like to ask from this group to approve and then go have the city take a look at it and to approve this is a couple of things down at the chain ferry. You see the pictures, there's the chain ferries. Now we have a big wall over there that blocks a lot of vision. And you see these people spilling out of the chain ferry, and they literally do because there's no directional signs there. There's no way to direct these people. So we want to start doing that this season and keep the people safe. And they kind of walk aimlessly while these cars are truly going by pretty quickly. So what we'd like to do are three simple things right now. The first and foremost is we've got a cedar tree. If you look at this picture, there's a cedar tree. We don't want to take her out, but we want to limb her up so that there's a line of sight when you look through. And there's two little shrubs down below. We don't have to take them out, but we have to trim them lower because when you walk off going east or going west of the chain ferry, there's no line of sight there. It is totally blocked. And I'm not dissing this. I'm just saying it's totally blocked now so that our way of keeping people safe is we can limb up that cedar tree and lower the little shrubs so that people can have that line of sight as to where these cars are coming from, because they are still coming pretty fast over the hills. So if we do that, are able to do that, then we have this little John Woolham sign that is right here in this little white sign right here. That also does block sights. So we'd like to take that out, get it fixed. It's directionally wrong. It's showing the north wrong in a wrong direction. So we want to get that changed and find a better place for it. So we'd like that removed as of now and then replaced when we can get it fixed and find our perfect location. And then on the north side of the chain ferry, you got a utility pole. This is not on our property, but it is in the right of way. There's some boulders there that push people out on the road more. So what we'd like to do is maybe remove those boulders and level the ground so that people can walk across that without tripping. It seems like there are two very simple things to do. The one maybe not so simple is we'd like to ask the city if they could ask the people that are working the chain ferry. I don't know who it is. I think it's Sean Steele is what I think. If they could have their people in the morning place a pedestrian stop sign in the center of the road and at the last shift, take it off. So it slows people down and it gives those people, we've got trails that are going over there. We want people safely to cross over. And we've got that big intersection on Pyramid and Park, which is going up to Oval Beach. People are moving very fast there. We want to make some visible sign to stop them.
That is a question that I have for the city manager. Is that in our purview? Are we able to do that?
So I'm just suggesting it
Yeah.
and then we go from there.
Like, I don't know, do we need council to do it? That's a question that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, good
Just
point.
the path from the Chain Ferry walkway. Where's the other side of the path?
So if you go to the Chain Ferry, of course, to the north, you're going to go to Mount Baldhead. We want to pull the people across down the road with a crosswalk there, a visible crosswalk, and then take them to the south, which takes them to the John Woolen path.
Or how
And the-
far south?
You're going down, what is that? Oh, yeah, what is the name of that? Vine, not Vine Street.
Bliss.
Bliss. It's, do you know where the houseboats are? Have you been down there lately?
Do I know where the houseboats?
I'm just plugging that one. You know where the hospitals are? There's a sidewalk there, so that, and it leads, and all of a sudden it stops, but right across is Bliss Street where,
All right, so I mean, a suggestion would maybe, you do the crosswalk and then you put little painted arrows in the crosswalk. And then even across the
Yep.
street, walk this way, put little
Yep.
paint feet or something.
yeah, we can do that, absolutely.
And I don't think we need permission to do that.
I'm just saying,
Learning the more I realize we need permission to do.
oh my God, I don't want to do anything wrong with this because this is extremely important. It's very dangerous tourist place we have right
What
there.
about and I know this is probably, where the houseboats are?
Where?
What's the deal with the fence? I mean, is there a deal with the fence? Is it legal, not legal? Can we move a section out? Like it almost the fence kind of blocks a lot of.
It's
line of
part of the
sight.
ongoing litigation though, right now.
Yeah, and that's,
All right, never mind.
we have no control over it.
Right.
The point being is
Neither does,
it,
right now, it's.
it
part of
does
litigation,
block
yeah.
things. So I'm just trying to think of ways to make it safer.
Mitigate it.
So
yeah.
those are the things that we'd like to have done for this upcoming season. Seems pretty simple, seems pretty easy.
Do you need a,
I know, right?
Are we-
Teams.
do we do
Yeah.
resolutions or do we do recommendations?
We do
How does-
recommendations.
How does that get passed to the city?
So we can make a recommendation and then we can make a recommendation from our committee that the city pass resolution
Yeah.
to do these things. But I don't know, that was my question to you. Do we need city to trim a tree, to
No.
move the boulders, to put a thing in this,
Good,
in the street?
good.
It'll take a little due diligence to make sure that that is in fact our right of way with the boulders.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's exactly. There's a what? Yep.
That goes underneath, Pine Street, by the Canterbury and then goes through the sea.
Or are those there to divert water then? Or
I think it's built up higher to divert water,
Okay.
keep it at the street to go.
right, to the storm drain?
So is the storm drain behind the boulders?
Just to the left of that utility pole.
We will,
Oh, I see it.
we'll take a look, we'll do what we can.
There's other ways to divert that water, though. I mean, seriously, I've seen people walking there and they're pushed out in the road, so we can maybe meet there one day and just talk about things. Okay, all right.
The pedestrian crossing is a little more challenging, right, to actually even to put I think John Moxie, you and I have actually reviewed this once, but yeah, please do come up and remind me of what we talked about.
Yeah, so thanks for this. That crosswalk has been brought up numerous times. The city's looked into it numerous times over the past, and what seems so easy
I know it really
isn't.
does.
Because the city would definitely want to have like a traffic engineer. We would want to consult a traffic engineer on this, but you can't just paint a crosswalk. You have to have like a to and from ramp type of structure. So like, I think we'd have a little more, we'd have a pretty easy time doing it on the east side where there's already an existing sidewalk by the houseboats. On the west side of the street, there's really no
Yeah.
place, and we'd have to look at the right of way width because Bliss Street isn't actually a plotted city street. It's kind of erroneously named Bliss Street. So it's not a street, but we can just use it as a trail easement, but we'd have to take a look at that. And at the very least, we'd have to pour some sort of a concrete like sidewalk apron,
Mhm.
so that there's a point to direct traffic to.
So it would get you from the Chain Ferry, you would have a sidewalk apron to get you from the Chain Ferry, stay on that east side of the street and walk over to Bliss and be able to have the crosswalk to Bliss Street is what you're saying.
Exactly. You can't just end the crosswalk at like a pile of dirt. Like, where do I go?
No,
So,
right,
You're saying
right.
keep the walk on the east side of the street until you get to Bliss Street. So put the walk in front of the houseboats.
well, that already exists.
Well, there's already existing sidewalks, but that is in our presentation for the next time.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got a whole lot
Point
of
being-
dynamic stuff happening over there. so-
Yes, point being, like the bushes and stuff like that, that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know, I gotta remember the guy's name. I think it's Keith Walker. He was who we worked with on the John Woolham signs. And he's pretty particular about the installation of them. So I don't know if there's, yes, exactly.
But-
Yep, he lives in Shorewood.
And I'd be happy to talk with them and find out a better place for it and to get it fixed.
Mhm.
I mean, I have no problem with the sign, or we don't have any problem with the sign. It blocks views. And it's directionally challenged.
It's not really instructive either. Like if you,
It's not instructive.
unless you know exactly where the John Woolham Trail is,
No,
you don't know what you're
You-
doing when you
it's
get out.
so
People get up and they
hard
know they
to-
want to go
yeah.
for a hike, but that would be much better placed by Bliss Street or
Kind
something
of.
where you can
Yeah.
point it in the right direction. Yeah.
yeah, kind of. And we have no problem using that in front of the houseboat sidewalks and then crossing over. My point is, we need to do something and not just talk about it, because that is a dangerous
Mhm.
area on Park Street. And there's a lot of kids, there's a lot of dogs, there's a lot of people that are walking aimlessly off them.
Yeah, I think we have we talked about the city. I think Ryan and I can talk about it a little more later on, but I think it's possibly on the capital improvements plan for the city to look at Park Street, particularly from Perryman. I mean, exactly this area right
Yeah,
here.
this is-
So, it's already in the plans. It's just a matter of when is it getting.
What can be done in
prioritized.
the short term then?
Well, the things that we talked about.
The things we
sign,
talked
the
about,
Trees, the
yeah.
stone.
But nothing as far as the street goes.
No, that's
Not across
that's
the-
good.
So Ryan, I'm asking you because in our presentation, there's areas where we want to do like three-way stops where we want to do crosswalks. Is this a mute point for our study here? Because if we're going to say no, we have to do this, it's going to take 10 years. Does this
No, you
make
should
sense to do this
bring,
Park Street?
bring the
Sorry.
recommendations. to
Okay,
us
okay.
Yeah.
And make, discuss it with council.
Okay.
And then they have to make this a priority finally up.
Okay,
And then that will probably happen with their next strategic planning session
okay.
where they align all their priorities. So please do bring your
But some of it is
recommendations.
stuff that we didn't know, like I was at the study group and, so ideally, when we talk about things we really want, it'd be nice if there was three-way stops at Campbell and Perryman. What's the process for
What
getting
kind
that
of
done?
process do we have to get
Yeah.
that done? Because that would slow people down.
Mhm.
And then
They
we-
come down that hill and they're out like a
Yeah.
shot through there, right? And it's
Yeah,
open.
yeah, and then the
and so-
crosswalks at the three-way stops, because you have people coming down, and with the development over there, it's going crazy.
But I know it's a road, so I don't think we just, I don't.
No, I don't think we
walk
can
there
just
counting
do
the
it.
sign, yeah.
So if you have some preliminary recommendations with the Park Street,
Okay.
outside of the larger Park Street
Yeah.
resurfacing project, bring those, it'd be your duty to bring those to council.
Okay.
At any meeting, and then council will say, all right, well, this will take some doing. We're willing to spend the money on engineering, because that's what it requires. We
Exactly.
give this to the engineer, we say, this is what they want. They say, okay, this is what we can do. this is
John
what we
Moxley
can't."
would, like, okay.
Yep.
Has it
Mm-hmm. Okay.
ever been brought before council yet to
I've
have
never
three-way stops at Campbell and?
This one, but
Why don't you
First I've heard about the three-way stops.
There's
Yeah.
one person wanted a roundabout, but we knew that wouldn't happen.
For golf carts. Why don't you do a bullet point and get it from our committee?
Well, that's what I'm
Subject to
planning to do.
Committee and give it to Helen so that it's not just talking.
But even.
No, that's
But
what
even if
we're
it's one
working
thing,
on.
like, I mean, I think that the three-way stops, and we can talk offline about it, but I think that the three-way stops are so important and like kind of a
It's
slam dunk
phenomenal.
it's gonna happen or
Yeah.
happen or not. So even to take that as a onesie-twosie thing in front of council, I think it'd be worthwhile. That's
I
my-
agree.
my Opinion.
I agree. Maybe we could do that next time, even without the big presentation. Those
Right.
are important. I think they would slow that traffic down immensely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Immensely, and also get, yeah,
All right,
so.
we'll talk offline about it
Got
and
it.
then I can make
All
a
right.
motion to you. or-
So this is what we're asking right now.
Wonderful.
simple.
That's exciting.
Thank you. And I think, oh, and then one other thing, just if we can, we've got those natural sidewalks on both the east and west side. Just kind of keep them clear, like you're doing. So,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
You forgot one thing was the deer crossing sign.
Oh, huge. Can
we
we
do-
do?
There, look, they're.
Oh my gosh, it's so
The deer
necessary.
are worse than ever and they're up Campbell too, the same thing. I mean, they're like little gangs.
They're gangs.
There's the Bloods and the Crips and they are hanging out.
They are.
Campbell's
Thank you
the
for the, yeah.
But you turn in there on dusk and I mean, there will be 10 deer literally in the street and they're just looking at you.
And again, I
with
mean,
grapples up
and
what they
we
want,
know,
yeah.
we know that they're there. So we keep an eye out for them, but the people coming
Yeah,
in another month or so
and it's
do
worse than
not
I believe
know.
it's worse than it's.
Oh,
ever
I
been. I've
believe it
never
is
seen
too.
Douglas was gonna cull all the deer.
Oh,
It's in the
don't,
newspaper.
oh, yeah, I know. Well.
So thank
I
you
have
for
it.
reminding me, Helen.
Okay.
I appreciate that. I don't know if that is something we can do, or again, we have to.
He's got a sign for us. Attention deer, they're speeding and they're fouls.
So Sam from our old friend Gordon Neal Ford yesterday.
Can I just say what a breath of fresh air these meetings are after my council meetings the night before? Like, so nice. Thank you. I'm so grateful.
Yeah, and with that, I don't even know who does that. We have to maybe approve it with the city or.
Maybe.
Yeah, so I guess those are just,
Let's do the three-way stop. If we do the three-way stops, maybe we don't need the deer. How's that?
Yeah.
Let's see. All right.
oh, I think.
I think we need them
I
all.
think
I
we still
know.
need them all.
I
Yeah.
agree. Okay.
So thank you for listening, folks. Appreciate it.
Mount Baldhead improvements, Mr. Manager, did you want to take that? or-
I certainly can. Council also approved last evening the restroom design and approximate location. So I don't know if y'all seen the updated renderings and or not. I'll just do my quick Vanna White here.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That center area, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, so I think you've seen something similar before. Again, we're trying to match the facade of the pump house to the extent possible, try to color match those bricks. Received positive comments from council. There are some really good ideas about actually using the kind of bare brick facade to put in some signage, maybe
Mhm.
more directional.
Mhm.
There's some really cool
Yes.
ideas being thrown out there.
We were talking, even it came up last night, I'm like, I talked to somebody who lives on Park Street that found out about the crow's nest last week. Like, talk about signage needed. My goodness.
Oh, yeah, he didn't, yeah, absolutely. We're like, you go up there right
Like,
now.
you need to leave
Yeah.
the meeting right now and go hike the crow's nest. You understand
We
what?
don't need signs everywhere.
He
You know,
he wants to keep it more mostly wild.
On the mount,
these trails get trampled.
I know.
Trampled. So.
on the Mount Baldhead project, would it be advantageous for people that really sometimes don't read the paper, can't even go to meetings and stuff, to put up almost like a site plan of what we're doing? So
Yes.
people can kind of go and look and say, hey, this is kind of cool.
It's actually a really good idea.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it
Another
keeps saying.
sign, but still, I mean, people, it keeps
Like,
people
even how they have out
informed.
front, like I'm sure that's
Yeah.
people from stomping in and
Yeah.
asking what's going on with City Hall or whatever. They're doing. a
I mean,
big
that'd be
project
so
too.
cool,
Yeah.
so people could see where the money's going, what the plans are. Yeah.
So it's a good dovetail into my next comment, which is we canceled the public meeting that we were gonna have to start the
Right.
process for the design of the park.
Good idea.
Looking back on it, I think is a really good idea. We do want to get some advertisement in the newspaper because not everyone gets our digital email blast. But with that sign idea, also I was thinking to have a sign that advertises that public meeting, just in case people from out of the area or
Yep.
not that don't get the commercial record could see when our public meeting is going to be. And so
That's
that
a
would be
great
kind of the
idea.
first step in this
Yeah.
signage concept that
Mhm.
you're talking about. So we will get that meeting scheduled. I think Felice and Vanderbrink had plenty of time at this point to get their renderings ready for that meeting. So when we schedule it, we'll be off and running. So
Good.
stay
Fantastic.
tuned on that one.
Okay.
AT&T still working hot and heavy. I know that there's a meeting with the historical group that's been working on the building and the dome to talk about actually getting some of the infrastructure. There's an antenna that exists inside the dome. And they're gonna be talking about a possible way to remove that so AT&T can get their equipment up in there.
Are they bulking?
They have concerns as historians. I totally
It's-
get it.
Yeah, I get it too.
So Scott Dean is the ambassador on this on behalf of the city, so that they're meeting at 5:30. Brent Burkholz, if you know Brent, he met with AT&T to actually go up into the tower. And they're talking about two things. We had a painting vendor there to talk about painting the dome. At some point in time, that's gonna need to happen. I don't know if it's gonna be associated with this project, but the dome is starting to wear. You can actually see light through it, so it's gonna be extremely challenging to paint that. Gone are the days where people could just repel out of the top of the dome. OSHA really doesn't love that anymore. And so.
Take all the fun away.
I know, what the heck? So we have to figure a way to get a big crane up there.
Oh,
So again, I don't know if it's gonna be associated with this project and or not. But yeah, the historians are concerned, you know, that's an important piece of history. I totally get it. And I think the discussion tonight is, okay, let's try to find a reasonable solution to get this antenna that people will never be able to see, quite frankly.
Right.
And rebuild it and get it to a place where it will be a piece for education and everyone can see it. It'll just be a
In the
few,
museum.
like a museum.
Yeah.
Or we can
It's a
even
cool
build
space,
something
yeah.
like down at the bottom of the
Mhm.
of the dune or something. But so anyways,
So that's tonight?
yeah, that's like a private meeting with like Scott Dean and this group. So
Good.
yeah, things are moving along. AT&T's still very interested. I had to call them after their meeting with Brent to make sure that they were okay. And they were.
You
I
didn't call
think-
Brent,
I think-
did you?
The wellness check?
He's my next door neighbor. I mean, what could possibly go wrong?
But he's very knowledgeable. He's very, very knowledgeable. So it was a
Yes.
good meeting at the end of the day.
Unless he puts a heck of a
So-
star up.
And good, and then,
It's a
and
good-
more reiteration that we were able to get that passed through city council on the
Yep.
design, so we're moving
Yep.
forward with this with AT&T. We're gonna get new bathrooms, and it's,
Yeah.
I think it's a really good partnership. I'm excited for it. Invasive species, we're moving along.
Well, I can go beyond my comment. Yes, they're still invasive. Y'all have something in that I handed out about lawn fertilizer because I'm anti-lawn, but that doesn't need to go. I don't even talk about that. Because we don't have a subcommittee called anti-lawn. And I'll read this out to you. And I talked to Emily Brown at the Allegan County Conservation District. They really don't have any program that they do. You probably know this. And I don't know if everybody else does. But she told me to call the CISMA, which is the Cooperative Invasive Species Management Area out of Ottawa County, which covers Allegan County and therefore Saugatuck. Never knew this stuff. They have 4 graduate students, of which they hire out for $100 an hour. They come 2 at a pop and they can be sent out. They're willing to do, and I don't know if you've had this done, survey the city properties for invasive species. I mentioned Oriental bittersweet to them, Japanese knotweed, milfoil, and garlic mustard. They pretty much the standard stuff. They currently have a Phragmite program, but not in Allegan County. They can set, I don't know, Scott, if you've done this with them before, but they have workshops that they can put together for communities and DPWs and anybody who, private or non-private individuals. They also, for their $100 an hour, they also hire out to private citizens at their own cost, the private citizens' cost, not the city's cost. So there is an availability for someone to survey their own property and get treatment for their own property. Phragmites are a different thing because they'll deal with it, but not in the river. If it's like on borderline on the land, or if it's on land, they'll deal with it. I listed 3 local contractors in Allegan County who do deal with phragmites. And they have aquatic programs to treat the invasive species, such as Phragmites. But so if local individuals wanted to treat the Phragmites on their property or in the river next to their property, they are more than willing to contact one of these 3 organizations. And I think Hamilton Helicopters has done the product, some work in the township before, because I know they sprayed the wrong area. So, and maybe it wasn't them though. I don't want to, but I know that there was a problem with spraying the wrong area. ODC is just mentioned everywhere on the planet around here. They're like the gurus in our neighborhood. So
Lucky to have them.
Yeah, I'd like this as a matter of public record, I don't know who reads our stuff. But if someone does read this and they want to privately hire them, they are more than welcome to do it. So that's my invasive species. There will be more forthcoming next. Because there are many invasive species.
Can you add purple loosestrife to your list?
I will do that.
I was waiting for that. I'm like, Nancy's been quiet over there.
No,
Loosestrife.
and while you're here, what's the deal? I know we can talk about this till we're blue in the face, but. Is there any way to get rid of those lily pads?
The problem, of course, is that the water is so shallow in the preserve. You're talking about.
For clarity, yeah, I was gonna say for clarity, talk about talking about the Peterson Preserve.
Right, and so, if, I had consulted with, ODC and, a couple of other like environmental firms. And, until we can basically increase the depth of the water, we're gonna be fighting a losing battle to get those, to get rid of those lilies. And, I can go on, and I don't know how much you want to hear, Ryan's first.
I'm
But
just curious.
yeah, so, so basically there's the water level control, there's no water level control in that lower pond, or what I call the lower pond. There's 3 ponds really before you get on the other side of Holland where the mill is. So there's the one right by the Kalamazoo sewer thing, and then there's the one, that one I'm calling the lower pond, I believe it's the middle pond, I guess. And then
Middle
there's-
pond and
Then there's the
the,
one, up by, that goes all the way up to North Street. And, anyway, there's no water level control mechanism at that middle pond. So that just gets, more and more in,
It's
and
water.
it's more and more shallow, and the lilies love it.
If the water level was higher, would the lilies die off?
They wouldn't be able to live if it was significantly higher. And then, I actually had conversations with RJ Peterson before he passed away. And it was one of his priorities to try to get that middle pond to have its own water level control. And it just never, it's complicated. It never got done. It takes approval now from the state of Michigan because it's considered part of like the waters of the state, because it all flows into.
it
the
is.
Kalamazoo River.
Yeah.
So it's a real thorny issue, and actually you're just
So to
leading me
increase,
to something I was gonna mention.
to increase the water level, we'd need to get permission from the state.
And we, and I even tried to find someone who would do it so that I could, make a proposal. And I was having a hard time, I got the names of 3 different private contractors. And 2 of them just blew me off immediately. They didn't want anything to do with it. The third one said he would do it, and then eventually stopped returning my calls. To the point where I even said, just call me back and tell me you're not gonna call me back. And he wouldn't call me back. So it's a real sticky wicket, but I think it's something that we need to.
It's like the
Project.
2025 thing we talked about with the Blue Star Trail. So how high, and it's a weird question, how high does the water have to be? Much higher does the water have to be to,
I think it needs, I'm not
I won't
an
quote
expert
you.
on this, but I would say like it needs to be like 4 feet deep or so. And
It's
there's
not.
times when I can look out, because I can see it out my backyard, and you can see the geese
Walking
standing
on
in
it.
the water, and I can see their knees. I mean, that's how shallow it is.
Uh,
So it's very shallow. And one of my neighbors tried a little project and had somebody go out there in a rowboat and cut some of the lilies, and it did slow them down. This was like late summer. So I'm curious to see if they look as robust, but I don't think that cutting them is going to eliminate them. They're pretty healthy.
Just to add a little more complication to an already complicated matter, we have to be really careful with the water table. Especially as you get closer to North Street towards the headwaters of the preserve, I guess you would call that. Cause we're already having issues with the road
Erosion,
base
yeah.
being in the water table. Any elevation will just add some more severity to that, and these.
Yeah.
I do have to tell you something. I could use your help. So as Ryan, it's okay, we're friends. So as Ryan was talking about, we do have a little bit of a problem with North Street. And part of the problem, we just had it surveyed because we're potentially going to be rebuilding that section of North Street this fall. And when the survey team was out there, they found there's like a 15-inch concrete culvert under Maple Street that we didn't even know about because it's completely clogged with sediments and it's been under the water table for
Maple and North?
yeah, on Maple Street.
Where it's all potholy?
Yes, that's exactly where. Yep.
Okay.
Yes, yep. So that's kind of adding to the deterioration of the road in that area. So it's by that culvert being clogged, it's not, water's not able to flow freely. That keeps our road base saturated, resulting in exponentially faster deterioration of the road surface. So part of at some point, F&V is going to reach out to me. We're going to work with them to unclog that culvert. To do that, we need to drain the preserve.
No.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Treat invasives.
It could be, yeah. But it would just, no, it would be a temporary, I'm talking like a day or two.
Oh,
Like
okay.
drain
I
it,
can deal with it.
get it out, open it back up.
What time of
and
year?
I'll give you the details as I get them.
Do it in the fall.
But to Ryan's point, wouldn't that be a time we could get in there and get that loose strike?
I would say no, because that's not gonna be enough time to dry up the ground
Yeah, you're
enough
right.
to put boots in the
Also,
ground
it
in there.
seeds Too, and then once
It's gonna be muck.
Yeah.
It is muck. in
Yeah,
there.
but and then another worse though, is that when they do the road rebuild, they're gonna need the water lowered. So they're gonna have, that will be a longer one. But I'm just the messenger. I just wanted you to know that. Thank you.
The road on Allen Street.
Yeah.
So we'd have to open up the one that the dam that the city operates. Just to dewater the North Street area as much as possible for our road project, which is very important. Because if we can dewater it and dry it up a little bit, it's going to result in a better road construction project overall. So
So you're gonna open the dam where between pond number 2 and the middle pond and the upper pond.
open it all up and get as much water out of there as possible.
My only recommendation is to do it in the fall, not during nesting season.
Yeah.
Well, that's when the, I don't think that just dewatering it for a day or two
Yeah.
for,
That's
that's not gonna be an issue. So, and that'll happen sooner rather than later to finish the survey work and to get that open back up. But yeah, in the fall, that's when the project's slated. to take place.
This year,
Yes.
you'll find some bodies probably. too.
I just want to, and really, I understand.
When I see that happen.
Well, you could help us kind of like chill the neighbors out a little bit and just make sure that everyone understands that, yes, it's going to be unsightly and it's going to, it's going to be upsetting to people, but it is very important that it gets done.
But when you lower, so you're gonna lower the water level of like the upper pond,
All
Right.
three.
All of them.
but
Right. But in order to do that, you need to lower the water level in the middle ponds.
Yeah.
well, if you do that permanently, there'll be no water in the middle pond. It's so shallow already.
That's kind of what he said.
There'll be no water.
I'm just the messenger.
Yeah.
Well, do you think we could have ODC involved to help us, just from an ecological standpoint, understand what that will be like? So we won't have a pond anymore? We'll just have a stream?
No, that's not what I'm saying at
No,
all.
just for a
temporary.
moment.
Yeah.
Temporary, no.
Temporarily for a project to get,
Oh,
and then.
But did you say that when you put this you do this culvert thing, you're gonna have to permanently lower the water
When
level?
we do the culvert, that's just gonna be for a couple of days.
Oh, that's just. a
Tops,
couple days.
yep.
Okay,
And
And
you're
then-
gonna have more water just simply because the culvert will be clean.
well, that's what I was thinking at
Theory.
first when you were talking, that actually.
Period.
Yeah.
I've never seen it fully like operational, so I'm having a hard time grasping
Yeah.
like, the concept of how.
The water will be lower on the east side of the culvert, but not necessarily on the west or southern side of the culvert at North and
That's gonna
Maple.
make a difference. It's gonna change it, yeah.
Okay, so
Oh.
since we're on this topic, can I continue?
As long as everyone else is comfortable, I'm comfortable, sure.
Okay, because I had originally asked that we make this an agenda topic, but knowing we've got lots of projects going on. When we had the big rain, right after our March meeting, we had, there was so much water, that was flowing through. It was breaching the dam, and I did email you the pictures. I don't know if you can look and see. if
You sent them to Ryan and myself.
But I just emailed them to you
Oh.
right at the beginning of the
Sorry.
meeting. Well, we were so busy, I didn't want to bother you. And, okay, right here.
Beautiful. Look
Perfect.
at that.
So you can see that's the little, that's the dam with the little white bridge thing, that you walk over, but the water was just flowing right on over it.
Hmm.
And, and so normally when it rains that heavily, what actually controls the water levels is the sluice gate. Is this the right terminology? Down at the Mill Street
Yeah.
or the Peterson Mill. So you know where the Peterson Mill is right there in Holland. That's actually what's controlling the whole deal.
Mm.
And so you can open and close this thing to control some of the water level.
Mm.
And so when it rains really hard, traditionally, someone from, Peterson's staff would go in there and
Which
raise,
zero.
open the sluice gate and let some of the water out to avoid this problem.
Mhm.
And now, of course, there's less and less involvement from the Petersons, but they still actually control
Mm.
that's on their private property.
It
So
ran
it's
into
a-
Eric, and I
You-
think that he said it was broken. They were
Yeah, you
getting it
talked about
fixed or
that, didn't
something
you?
like that.
Yeah, yes, when this happened, their sluice gate was malfunction, it was broken.
It was broken.
We had staff came in and they had like this old pirate ship ship steering wheel that you turn it and it turns a gear and it pulls the chain, which opens up the sluice gate. So when Cody here came in on a Saturday and opened it up, the chain just like came up loose. It was broken. And so I got a hold of Eric, and Eric, we got him set up with a metal fabricator and they got a new gate
Good.
built. So that's
It's already done.
it's already fixed.
Yeah, oh yeah, he fixed it right away, and I just happened to be able to run into Eric, right when it was still going on. But this is not the first time I've seen this, where the water actually, overflowed the dam. And of course, then that weakens the structure. And eventually, if this continues to happen, which there's no reason to think that it won't.
Who put
Because
that dam up in the first place, isn't it? Didn't it-
Peterson's.
This is the whole thing.
This is.
But I think that this is it's a very complicated issue where exactly.
is.
Were there proper permitting for the dams? So to dig into this, some things on private property, was there proper permitting for the dams initially? How do you control it so this is a whole separate issue,
Mhm.
which could possibly be another project. And she and I discussed this morning. I'm sorry. So just to bring everybody up to speed and said, bring it up in member comments at the end and, the committee can decide if they want to take it up as an issue. Is it now, it involves more than just our PPW committee. Is it a DPW issue? Is it
Oh,
a city council issue?
So.
So, yeah, so I wasn't really sure like where our lane is in this would be my,
Right, my
observation.
suggestion was just, I've done some research into this
Mhm.
to, have some other minds that could help, with other people to reach out to figure out what are some options, just because. And if we had an official thing going, it would give us a little more standing to go and talk to Eric Peterson, because he was, to his credit, he was on this immediately as soon as he found out
Yes.
about the problem. And it was resolved very quickly, but it's private property, and how long is it gonna remain in their family? And then what happens, he's.
a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, so it's, but I would just hope that we could at least study the issue. And, obviously we have no power,
Why don't we just add the Peterson Preserve and we'll just make a little subheading under invasive species?
Well, I mean,
I think it should be a whole separate entity.
I don't think it's
I
just
think
the
it's-
invasive
Alright.
species,
Yeah.
it's the infrastructure.
Should we
That's
make
really-
a new study group, number 7?
I mean, and I'm happy to, I'm happy to take that on, because I've already done a lot of the work and, and I'm happy to work on
It's made
but I-
not famous.
I kinda hit a dead end, and actually and some of my neighbors were also concerned about this, and so we had a little neighborhood group going for a while. And I would invite the city representatives to come meet with us, which they did. And yeah, and at our last meeting, Ryan said, well, I really think this is something that our Parks Committee that we're gonna form should work on. And I said, okay, I'll volunteer for Parks Committee, and here I am. So I'm more than happy to lead it.
I wonder
and,
about, you know, like what the Allegan County Drainage Commission would,
Oh, yeah.
their involvement would
actually,
be on this.
Your predecessor, Kirk, when I brought this issue to him, he thought that the drain commission would be involved or don't care.
I think they'd have to be.
Not sure.
They-
they're-
they-
it's
they
very
said
progressive.
They didn't.
The,
Well, the response that Kirk gave me was, no, they said that's not their deal.
Oh, wow.
Now, we can go back to them
Not
on that,
progressive.
certainly.
I think Eagle would
But
be
I-
the right group to start the conversation with. It'll be very interesting to see what they have to say about the dams themselves. I don't know if
Exactly.
they're gonna take a position one way or another, but I do know Eagle is on a trend of recommending dams get removed in
Removed.
their entirety.
Yeah.
But it is the organization that we'll have to work with. So
But they also support wetlands and, you know, and it is a.
that
good
would be the
wetland.
interesting part to see.
And, you know, and I can tell them, all the birds.
I think they go back to how it naturally is. Yeah, I mean, that's not natural, that little walk
No,
down.
it's not. And the
I've
neighbor says-
rebuilt that.
Yeah,
I-
to say that
I
was
put it-
man-made, and I don't know if they're gonna, if Eagle would. I think they may
I
go,
don't know.
I
but
don't know
feel
either.
like
I'd like to be part of that. I think this is an
I
interesting
would, I just,
study.
part of me is, yeah, hesitant to rock the boat.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I feel like what's gonna happen when Eric Peterson sells that property and it goes to somebody else, you know? So do we want to
I'm,
wait for that?
I'm never a big fan of hope as a strategy.
Yeah.
That's what I will say.
We're not big fans of entering
Right.
private property.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
never really know who you're, not that, I'm not saying anything about Eric, but you never know.
course.
But also too, that structure on that side of it isn't exactly safe for us to go on.
Exactly.
The
Don't
city
love
needs
it.
to get control of it.
Yeah,
Somehow, one way or another. So but my only word of caution is would be the seventh study group and
If
just
the, if
please.
the, if the three of them have the appetite to start a study group, then I don't see a reason why that shouldn't.
I could think of a few, but just know that there's some staff limitations.
That's true. That's.
yeah.
and so we also have to just be very cautious about
Agreed.
conversations with Eagle from residents, a particular group of residents, rather than coming through the official
Well,
chain.
that's a good,
of the
so,
city.
so maybe we'll
Plus
consider
the
this
cost-
conversation offline then and
Right,
see,
and-
and that, and we will not be violating any OMA, but we were not gonna do that, but let's talk about it offline and see what makes sense then.
Well,
So we don't want to alarm Eric either.
No, right,
You
right,
know,
right, yeah.
Seriously.
I
'cause-
felt like we'd have a little legitimacy to talk to Eric and maybe we could talk to Eric first. And is there any legal way we could get like some kind of, you know, like the city has access to that, you know, that structure, even though he probably wouldn't want to give it to us, you know what I mean? But at least. start
No,
with
I
something.
can remember being on that initial design planning of this, and RJ fired the people, including myself as a designer at Landscape Design, because they were pushing too much. Taking too much. So we gotta be really,
Yeah.
really careful about
private
this.
property.
It's
Yeah,
private property,
yeah.
yeah.
So.
So.
So I don't
Okay,
wanna-
well, let's table
yeah.
it for now, and then we can explore options offline as far as, you know, the contacting Eagle or whatever
Yeah.
the next steps would be. So I think that makes sense.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we skipped along and now Village Square and Playground.
Yeah, well, I can go on that. I think it was in February, we showed some brainstorm ideas, not plans, they were just ideas. And so we decided at that time we needed a survey to really see what the lay of the land was there. And I think they started that, ran into some problems and they needed to do something additional, but apparently that's done now. So we
Survey's
can go
complete
see
now?
where the
Correct.
Okay.
where the stakes are, and I plan to go over there after this meeting, and Scott's gonna go, if anybody else would like to go and see where those stakes actually are. So that's good. If, we did meet with ODC there, a fellow named Evan, who was very nice. And he did the playground, inspection. I'll let you talk about that, but apparently it's better than we thought.
Oh, good.
And that's not dire a situation there with the current playground equipment. And if ODC, they do some natural playground things, which there might be some interest in, they have a lot less lifespan than if you get some manufactured materials, so a little concerned about that. And also their plate's pretty full, so they couldn't begin a project there if we wanted them to work on it until 2025. So I hope we're all around in 2025 because there's going to be a lot of things coming to fruition, it sounds like. Hopefully. And we'll have to be able to work on more than one thing at a time.
I don't think she meant alive. I think that's what you meant.
Oh, thank you. I got planned on being-
So we're continuing to look at some ideas there. Please, if you hear any misinformation, help squelch that. And we certainly do want public input, but we can't get that until, like, I have no idea how much a splash pad costs. I don't know how much a NASA launch pad costs either, but we don't have any plans to put either of them in there right now. So,
Thank you for saying that last line.
yeah,
We don't have any plans to put a splash pad in because it was never mind. Won't go to the letter to the editor.
Yeah, misinformation again.
I think we all read it.
The public, somebody in the public said we thought we were putting in a splash pad. So
they said we were.
It was the letter to the editor.
No,
We
the
don't
letter
need to-
you
we
announced.
don't need
You
to-
did- yeah, it's
We don't
okay.
need to talk about that in meetings.
trying to make you laugh, but you didn't.
Oh.
It's
We
all right.
can't see.
Like, yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Please, let's counter these things. So, I think other than that, we keep, we're gonna look at where the boundaries are. We're gonna meet again and discuss what the next steps are. So.
Wonderful.
Yep.
Okay, Tri-Community Parks and Rec Master Plan update. We had our meeting with the other municipalities and the school. And as far as I know, we're on track to, the RFP process is starting now, if you want to speak to that.
Yeah, I think where we left it, and please help me where you can, was the person that hosted our meeting.
Yes,
Lene.
Lene.
Lene was gonna do a draft RFP. I don't know that I've received that, but I might have in these hundreds of
Okay.
emails here.
And she wanted basically everyone to raise their hand from the different municipalities
Mm-hmm.
who are participating. And I know that obviously you're going to be involved. And I know that a member Roach also offered, I'm not sure where that stands, if there's going to be two of us from everywhere or just.
I think it was
Maybe I just-
unnecessary to have two
that makes
from
sense, yeah.
everywhere, but happy to involve the folks that want to be involved and reviewing the RFP. It's
And-
pretty technical
Yeah.
stuff.
And
It's
I-
not very sexy.
And so it will be public, right? So we can make sure that people are voicing concerns. I know in particular, and I align myself with her comments that we want to talk about sustainability and that in there when we talk about what we're looking for from this group. But yeah, I'm excited to say that, we're going to participate this year. I don't know why it hasn't been that Saugatuck City hasn't participated with the community updates, but we are all sister cities and we all,
Mhm.
I can't see any reason, and I know that those views are shared, that we wouldn't participate together as a community with our sister cities. And so happy to report that that's on track. And yes, all I knew is that by the end of April, we had to raise our hand with who's going to be part of the RFP process. I think that's Mr. Manager here for sure. And that's every update I have.
That's all I got.
I know when I went to the Saugatuck Township Park Commission meeting, which I went to just because they were talking about the trail, but they had quite a discussion about it, and their point of view was, while this is a joint effort, each municipality will need to, really do their own part. And so I don't know, I mean, it seems to me like we could start thinking about our plan without, we don't have to wait for this whole deal to be done, because our plan is gonna be our plan. There's things that don't involve all of the community. So I just know that when you do a project like this, suddenly you're in a time crunch.
Mhm.
And so I just thought maybe we would want to start sooner than later, just our own,
So I think from that perspective, we've got a good basis, right? We've all got our projects that we're working on in our study groups and that. So we've got the meat, or, that we can.
right,
that
but
we can
that's
put
not
on
really
this.
a 5-year plan.
Right. But
So,
Right.
go from that perspective and, yeah.
well,
obviously,
anyway,
we're gonna-
so I just thought we're gonna need to start meeting on that sooner than later, I'm thinking.
Mhm.
Just because I know how time gets away. And
Okay.
Summers are not the best time to,
Okay.
sit in a conference room.
I think, when does that due? Next February?
February,
Yeah.
Yeah,
correct, yeah, yeah, and you're right.
and it has to get to council, right?
Yes.
Yes,
And so do we have a timeline as far as like, when does that have to happen?
so it's the project's just starting. We're only doing the RFP right now, so we'll get that together, I'm sure is.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so I feel like we've reviewed next steps at this
I think
point.
so too.
Okay. Let me open up again for public comments, and this can be on any topic. The Tigers, nothing? No, okay. So if no one is online, so we'll close the public comment, and then we can go around for member closing comments. I don't remember which way I went last time. If you want to start, Ruth. Go around line.
Other than the fact that it's fun working on these projects, I hope again, things happen that we talk about it. But yeah, it's great.
Oh, it's my turn.
Yeah, I don't.
The invasive species are still invasive. I'm not saying that. And I'll get some more contact info from probably Michigan State. And start compiling a list for the public to deal with their invasive species if they want, and keep working on my anti-lawn project.
Well, that goes back to the no more May. We still
more
really
May.
should
Well,
be a
What, all right,
community
so
that does this. I mean, I agree.
what I'm finding out is like, I'm learning more about the water table, and it's not even the water table, it's what lawn fertilizers, fertilizers that actually go into several areas.
This is good.
Mexicans.
Yeah.
Oh, just let 'em do their thing.
All right. So what I'm discovering is that people who use lawn fertilizers, there's phosphorus, there's chloride, there's nitrates, there's a whole bunch of chemicals that actually don't make it into the groundwater in certain areas, get filtered through the systems because one, on the hills, we have a high clay base. So it's just like a piece of concrete on the hill. And so what happens is it either goes into the storm basins, if there are any, or they go runoff and they go somewhere, but they don't really go far until they hit the storm drains, then they go into the ravine systems, or then they go into the catch basins, and then they go into the rivers, which actually promote a lot of the invasive species that are in the river. And so I'm just doing a little research on that. So my end result would be to ban lawns, but that's impossible to do.
We'll put that on the next agenda. Glenna?
That's what's happening. How much time would you save not mowing lawns? Just think about that. The overgrown city of Saugus.
I have nothing new, but the playground equipment inspection.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, they said it was okay. We just need to replace the big poles that hold it in the ground, and we should be okay.
Yeah, what a fun meeting that was. I always am kind of trained to think worst case scenario for everything and
Yeah.
kind of plan accordingly. So I was very surprised and delighted after our meeting with Evan from ODC, certified playground inspector. He gave the whole structure like a less than 1% chance of failure. And as far as risk assessment, that's like fantastic. So that's not to say it doesn't have issues. It does, obviously. And we're currently in the process of trying to find a general contractor that can assist us with replacing the posts. That's the thing that we're looking for the most right now. So, and really structurally, it's not as bad as it appears because there's also like concrete anchor points within the structure. So like there's like a twirling slide that's anchored by concrete and posts. So that's good to go. So there's more holding it together than kind of the rickety stuff that appears before you as
Good.
on your initial inspection. So
Good.
we're getting that taken care of. So thanks.
No, I have nothing new to add. I just want to pick up on what you were saying, Keith, with the no mow and thinking if we're gonna do the Peterson Preserve project, that we could maybe, as you're finding things out, and we think about the little lawn area there, that would be a good area to kind of experiment with what are the alternatives, so that,
But there's also, we have a couple parks that we could
we could also.
do the no mow with. And some parks we can't, but there's parks out there that, I mean, if we start as a city, then maybe people will follow.
And I'll add to it, I just actually came back from vacation and went down to Texas Hill Country, and particularly because I'm a wildflower nut and I wanted to see their wildflowers, and they are fabulous. And they really have a program where they encourage all the roadsides, to be
Yeah.
planted in wildflowers instead of, grass that they mow.
Yeah.
And so it was just very inspirational. And I just like to see us, and maybe try to pick up on some of those ideas. This seems like, a good way to do that.
Wonderful. So I'll close out by again thanking everybody. I know that we are all volunteers and we're working hard to get things done, and as we are an ambitious group, and as much as we want to do, keep an eye on the prize. We are making good progress. I understand that, it seems daunting when you have all these other things that you want to do. We're getting a lot done. We're getting things passed through council. We're making good progress, and we just got to keep that forward momentum going. Any good change in government is always incremental, and that's just the way it's going to be.
Get
So,
thick skin.
exactly, exactly. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
I second.
Motion, Sherrick, second, Kimball, all in favor?
Aye.
Yes.